Terraria's Ranger class doesn't really consist of much variety in pre-hard mode, including an assortment of relatively simple bows, guns, and well, that's about it. And while this has always been the case, with the 1.4 update, we were lucky to receive a handful of new pre-hard mode ranged weapons that offer a bit more personality. Today, we're going to be looking at a unique pre-hard mode bow, which despite its pre-boss obtainability, can actually pack quite a punch. Of course, I'm talking about the Blood Rain bow. This is definitely one of those weapons that can be easily missed due to its placement, so the question is it worth getting? Before we jump into it, if you enjoy binging my content, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Alright, let us take a look. Now, despite technically being obtainable pre-boss, its method of obtainability isn't as straightforward. Yep, it's a Blood Moon fishing drop. You'll first of course need to trigger the event itself, which can either have a 1 in 9 chance of occurring naturally at 7:30 PM, or be summoned manually using a Bloody Tear, which has a 1% chance of dropping from Blood Moon enemies. However you get the event underway, you're going to want to head to either one of your oceans and get fishing. In particular, we're on the lookout for Wandering Eyefish and Zombie Mermen, two quite powerful enemies that both have a 12.5% chance of dropping the Blood Rain bow. This is the part that can take some time, and even with a mid-tier pre-hard mode ranger setup, I found taking one of these out difficult due to their high health. Also, that drop rate can be rough, so if you're having difficulty fishing them up in the first place and already killed a few, you can always empty chum buckets into the sea to significantly boost your chances of fishing up enemies. After quite a few encounters, I finally got the bow to drop. Okay then, let's see if it was worth the grind. In many ways, the Blood Rain bow is a pre-hard mode alternative to the Daedalus Stormbow, raining down 1 to 3 streams of blood from the sky at the curse's position. Not only does the rate of fire demolish any other early game bows, but giving the player this level of versatility is key and makes it one of the very few pre-boss weapons with infinite on-screen range. Interestingly, unlike the Stormbow however, unique arrow effects are not applied, meaning your best bet is picking the arrows which deal the most damage. With unholy arrows, we can deal upwards of 200 DPS on the multi-target test, which is incredibly impressive for something obtainable this early. However, it's worth mentioning that due to the nature of unholy arrows, even a silver bow can outclass the DPS, assuming each of the piercing has been utilized. And while this scenario is very uncommon, it definitely shows a weakness of the vertical fire style. Anyway, enough about that. Let's see how it does against the real thing. The bow performs very well against groups of all sorts of pre-hard mode enemies. Its fast fire rate and widespread means damage is always being dealt with very little need for accuracy. And while this definitely performs better the more enemies are on screen, we once again can't ignore the fact unholy arrows work well against this scenario with regular bows, but of course require much more accuracy and closer range. Now, one thing you're all probably thinking at this point is, if it's anything like the Stormbow, what's it like against worms? And well, as you'd expect, the Blood Rain bow is the perfect weapon to use against the Eater of Worlds. The bow is able to deal damage into a bunch of segments at once and separate the worm into millions of pieces very quickly. So what about a non-worm boss, say Skeletron? Surprisingly, I found this fight even a little bit easier than the Eater. Skeletron is a really easy target to hit, but doesn't really move around a lot, especially during its spinning phase. Okay, we've established that the Blood Rain bow is average against regular enemies and solid against bosses. But now I must raise a slight snag with the weapon that just kind of comes with its functionality. Yeah, it can't really be used underground. Like the Star Fury and Daedalus Stormbow, the true potential of this weapon is designed for outdoor use, so I doubt we'll be seeing any Wall of Flesh takedowns with this thing anytime soon. I'd love to hear if you've used this bow before, and if not, if you're going to give it a try. This has been sockrteez, and I'll see you in the next one.